Streaming settings, audio settings. Where is that feature? It used to come here. No, but how do you make it public from here? Okay, anyways, we'll see later. We'll have to test this out. It has been made public. Huh? You have made it public. Huh? Here it is not showing whether it is public or understood. And we don't know how to work in this editor. Okay. That's okay. Editor, settings, streaming settings. Huh? On its own it happened or you did it? Okay, so today we are discussing 9:30. Api chet suduracharu bhajate mam ananyabha sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. The word Sudurachara used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional and the other is constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of the society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditional life. And such activities are called conditional. Besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position and they are technically called devotional service. Now in the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another. But then again, sometimes these activities are opposed to one another. As far as possible, a devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically. But such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord, being situated within his heart, purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path. For as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall down will be stopped in due course as soon as the devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person who is situated in Krishna consciousness and is engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, should be considered to be in the transcendental position, even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The words sadhureva, he is saintly, are very emphatic. They are a warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly even if he has accidentally fallen down. And the word mantavya is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for this accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. In the Narsimha Puran, the following statement is given: Bhagavati cha haravananya cheta vrishamalinopi virajate manushya nahi sakakalusha chabi kadachit timira parabhavatam upayati chandraha. The meaning is that even if one is fully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, even if one fully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is sometimes found engaged in abominable activities, these activities should be considered to be like spots that resemble the mark of a rabbit on a moon. Such spots do not become an impeding to the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that the devotee is in transcendental devotional service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs, as previously explained. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. Srila Prabhupada rightly emphasizes that this Krishna consciousness is a declaration of war against the illusory energy. So the nature of war is that many unexpected things may happen. That is the nature of war. Rather, unexpected things will happen. Newer and newer things will happen. Different and different, greater and greater kinds of challenges will happen. And therefore, when unexpected things happen, because a devotee may not have prepared himself for this new frontier, temporarily the devotee may be seen overpowered. Just like, say for example, in the fourth canto, we hear in the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj was having affection for his brother Uttama, and when he heard that his brother Uttama was killed by Yaksha, Dhruva Maharaj couldn't take it up. He became so angry, and in his anger, in his fit of anger, he decided that he will kill the entire Yaksha race. He will wipe off the entire Yaksha race. Now this was a case of Ati Krodha. So Dhruva Maharaj was not wanting to punish that one Yaksha, but then he attacked the entire Yaksha planet. And he wanted to kill the entire Yaksha race. So we see temporarily Dhruva Maharaj got bewildered. But then the devotees came to his rescue. And as soon as he was advised, I believe Swayambhuva Manu, then immediately he stopped. Immediately he stopped. He came to his senses. Immediately he stopped. Anyways, if we see the fight of the Dhruva Maharaj with the Yakshas, within the fight also we can see that now the Yakshas are using newer and newer strategies, and they were using a mystical kind of warfare strategy. And because of this usage of mystical warfare strategy, whenever the Yakshas would change the strategy, for the time being Dhruva Maharaj will be overwhelmed. Like the Yakshas started shooting all of a sudden arrows. And when he started shooting, then the Yakshas were so many and they were invisible strategy they used. They were invisible and there were so many, and Dhruva Maharaj appeared to be completely clouded with arrows, and it appeared Dhruva Maharaj finished. Just like a sun may get completely clouded and it may appear the sun is finished. But then Dhruva Maharaj, just like a sun after some time comes out, Dhruva Maharaj also came out. He was shooting multiple arrows together, hundreds of arrows in one shot. So he came out. But pictorially we can see that yes, the Dhruva Maharaj got so powerfully overshadowed. Now one may say, where is his pure devotion and everything and all that? He got overshadowed, he couldn't win. But that was temporarily. Similarly, the Yakshas changed the strategy then. Now the Yakshas, after that, they changed the strategy. Now they were throwing rains and torrents of pus and blood and urine and stool and those kind of things. And Dhruva Maharaj, he saw that. He interfaced that. Dhruva Maharaj got bewildered. He became numb and stunned with this kind of very ghastly kind of mystical strategies. And Dhruva Maharaj was not understanding what to counter. For the moment, he became completely paralyzed. He really lost himself there. He was not able to think what to do. At that time, the devotees, the sages who were watching this, they started chanting Krishna's names. And Dhruva Maharaj heard Krishna's names. And Dhruva Maharaj remembered that he should remember Krishna and take shelter of Krishna. And Dhruva Maharaj started chanting and remembering Krishna. And when he started chanting and remembering Krishna, then he got to understand how to tackle this. And he was tackling nicely. And then Dhruva Maharaj started taking edge. And he had taking edge, and therefore it was understood now Dhruva Maharaj is going to, Dhruva Maharaj was taking, was getting the, so Dhruva Maharaj was getting into the winning gear and he was taking edge actually. And at this point, Swayambhu Manu appeared. He said, please stop. And Dhruva Maharaj immediately stopped. Now we say, okay, why did Dhruva Maharaj, how could immediately he stop? How could immediately he stop? Because he got activated to remembering Krishna. Now we can see that, the correlation of the events. He was disturbed and he came into into a film of illusion, and under that illusion he attacked, and now in the attack further and further illusions was coming and he was tearing through them, and then he was paralyzed, and then the sages intervened, and then he remembered Krishna. So now another devotee has come. Dhruva Maharaj is quite awake and alert at this point of time. So he just stopped. And because he stopped, later Kuvera also came to bless him or to thank him. So this is the point, that one may get bewildered temporarily. However, this is not to be taken very seriously. Provided the devotee is engaged in Krishna consciousness, is taking shelter of the a process of Krishna consciousness. So on one hand, this particular note is hope-giving, that if we just remain absorbed in serving Krishna and engaged in serving Krishna, if any upheaval also comes, at best it will create a spike. At best, it will create a spike. not more than that. But we should remain engaged. We should continue to take shelter. The second aspect it highlights is engagement in Krishna consciousness is of paramount importance. And even if one is bewildered, it is only engagement in Krishna consciousness which will drive him out. So that way we are understanding that this engagement in Krishna consciousness, the service which we are doing, is the very drive towards the spiritual world. There is no state game here. It is no auto motion. It's not motion in the auto mode. It is vehicle drive. So we can understand this is vehicle drive. This is not auto state. Slow. It's not auto state slow. It's vehicle drive. So when we are consciously and in awakened and alert state, we are say every day we are participating in morning program. So that much we are moving forward towards Krishna. When we are doing our sadhana, we are moving forward towards Krishna. When we are doing seva, we are moving forward towards Krishna. We are moving forward towards Krishna. So engagement in Krishna consciousness is so very important. And this is something what a sadhaka should very strongly relate to. That let my engagement in Krishna consciousness not be touched by any situation whatsoever. Any setting, any situation whatsoever. So yes, on one hand it is hope giving, on the second hand it explains or it highlights the importance of engagement in Krishna consciousness, and rather and yes, also the power of the purification power of the processes of Krishna consciousness. The purification power is immense. So just like a spike will not have a very high integral value. If we say an integral value is like the impact value, a spike may be very high, but the spike may not have much integral value, impact value. In the same way, a devotee may momentarily be bewildered, but it won't have a very high impact value. So we see this. So therefore, actually, one thing we should understand in Krishna consciousness, that any temporary behavioral pattern of a devotee should not be taken very seriously. Sometimes a devotee may become angry, and in a fit of anger and emotion, he may speak something very sharp, very harsh. Don't mind. It was temporary. Sometimes a devotee may act very harshly, stubbornly. Don't mind. It was temporary. No. Sometimes a devotee may have very strong critics against maybe our service or our ideology or our perspective of in Krishna consciousness. Again, don't mind. Why? Because temporarily. Because mind, emotions, a lot of things are involved. A person may get some feelings and he may express his feeling, but that doesn't mean we take it very seriously. So, the Lord is explaining here, temporal here and there, don't take it very seriously. Just be satisfied. Now, on what basis not to take it seriously? The basis is you see that the devotee is engaged in Krishna consciousness. So, if he is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then there is no point in taking it seriously because sadhureva samantavya, very samyak vyavastito hisaha, very quickly he is going to be reinstated back again because he is practicing, he is engaged in devotional service. Someday your devotee may eat a lot, don't mind. So, any transient feature, we should not take it very seriously. That's the point. Engagement. This is just the devotee to engage in Krishna consciousness, everything else is purified. An accidental slip is not to be taken very seriously. So now, Prabhupada here adds on a warning. And the warning is that this case is only applied to an accidental slip, not a premeditated suicidal attempt. The person may not think suicidal attempt, he may think it's okay, it's normal. So it's not valid for a premeditated jump, it's only valid for accidental fall down. Accidental fall down means the devotee never prepared for it. That's the meaning of accidental fall down. He was engaged in service, he was doing everything fine, but then all of a sudden that kind of situation came up and he couldn't hold it temporarily. So accidental means the devotee has taken all precautions, he is completely alert that his spiritual priority and spiritual values are not at all contaminated, but still Maya changes some strategy and immediately the devotee all of a sudden is not able to take it up. That's the point. Not premeditated, accidental. Then one will be saved. Then one will be saved. The process of devotional service, then one will be saved. Nothing to worry. Now one may say that okay, if it is so secure, I mean if the devotee has tried all corners, this, that, there was no problem in him, no malice, nothing and at all, then why did a fall down happen? And Prabhupada explains that is where Prabhupada explains in the purport that in this material world, because a devotee has conditional duties also, therefore he has to access material energy. And therefore there is a risk that he may get a shock. Anyways, even because the service of the Lord is executed on the material grounds, there also one has to touch and access material energy and one may get a shock. So therefore, in such cases, accidental fall downs can occur. Now, the other point is, okay, so what about premeditated fall? So in case of
like when somebody is aware that he's going to touch something, he slowly get the shock, but he recommended for us like a service, he should touch it. He makes sure that he will get shock. Next year for the sake of service, and if that person touch that object.
yeah, so it should not be, it has to be done in consultation. One has to see examples of devotees who are using that particular type of mental energy for service. And then one has to evaluate what is the need of the hour. Like say for example, there are many areas which are the need of the mission. So like Western preaching, now it is risky because they are too much in Krishna Maya. To uplift them, one may get vibrations, but then that is the need. Most of the population, how much is Indian population to be preached? That is what Prabhupada wanted also. So there are many things which are need actually, but that doesn't mean that okay, one starts roaming around in New York City, the whole night, because I have to preach. No, that doesn't mean that. One has to be very strategic, but not only strategic. One has to see which devotees have successfully done it lifelong, and then learn from them, and therefore understand the whole game, and then very carefully enter. That is the point. So here the sincerity comes into picture, is it not? The how much one has worked comes into picture that way, and so that's the idea. So nothing is new. I mean, most of the things are not new in our Krishna consciousness. So any new frontier, one can always take guidance, see example of how who has handled it. Is it not? That way. So now the point is that one may have, so now what happens in case of a premeditated fall? In case of a premeditated fall, that there is a risk that there will be a breakage or a blockage in the mercy which is coming to one. Yes. Obviously, if one is still engaged in Krishna consciousness, then the engagement in Krishna consciousness is going to be purifying. But the blockage will remain. The blockage will take greater amount of time to go off. That's what happens to the premeditated. See, Krishna consciousness is an eternal bank account. Krishna consciousness is not taken off. It is at best logged. Like that. It is not taken off. So therefore, that even if a person has committed a great mistake, premeditated, he realizes his folly, he can still repent and rectify himself. Is it not? So there is a risk obviously. In a premeditated case, rectification may be difficult. Means a person may never come to the stage of repentance because he is premeditated now. But so therefore one should not take the excuse, this as an excuse to be casual. That's the point. But yes, if a person happens to land up with a mistake and then he's rectifying, so he can also progress, but then his momentum will be very drastically hampered, and then he will have to pick it up again. So that's the whole point. We see all cases of mercy are cases who were performing sinful activities, but then they got introduced to Krishna consciousness, and like Jagai Madai got mercy. Now, but then what Jagai Madai were told, okay, whatever you have done till now, sin no more. Sin no more. So that was a straight instruction by Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu dissolved all their sinful activities, but Mahaprabhu said, now you don't sin. So therefore, a devotee should exercise determination to overcome the conditions, and then after that, be very, very careful. This material world is Shurasya Dhara. One has to be very careful. You may have to utilize, you may have to take risks, but be very, very careful. Very, very careful and attentive. So guilt, yes, guilt is fine as long as guilt leads to a rectification action, then that guilt is fine. One should not be casual about it. Oh, I slept 5 hours in the daytime. How could I sleep 5 hours in the day? No? Oh, I spent 4 hours in Prajalpa, 3 hours. So one needs to make note of that. How dare I can, and then take a rectification step. Why did I land up there? What was I doing? How do I prevent myself? And from next time, one should be more prepared. Is it not? Like that. Like a warrior, he knows he's going to fight, so he'll have all his weapons and everything. Or a fighter, he'll be, like that. But suppose one is in sleeping state, he got attacked, like that. So it takes time to, compile what is the thing. But once having been hit, one should understand this avenue, dangerous avenue. This avenue also there is risk. This is risk. So that way rectification should be there. It should not be just self-curse. The cursing, I am so fallen, I am so fallen, I am so fallen, that I am so fallen. No. The point is it should not be a self-curse actually. Okay, we can understand. It's nice that we understand we are very fallen. But then the Acharya recommend if you understand that you are fallen, then you please try to get up. Because if you understand we are fallen, then you should try to get up. You should not just make make that as a perennial state. I am so fallen, I am so fallen. I think we can get up, no? Is it not? Like literally, if you understand fallen means, okay, if somebody is walking, if God fell on the ground, you understand it's fall on the ground, it's spinning a bit, but get up. Is it not? Either yourself get up or take some support, take some help. Devotees are there to give us help and get up. Like that. So we should never. So that's the point actually. Rectification has to be there. Therefore, sadhaka has to be alert. Like that. This principle in no way is talking about laxity. This principle is this aspect of devotional service is glorifying the nature of devotional service, but in no way it is giving a concession for laxity. That okay, and if one meditates on laxity, you go to seventh offense zone actually. So this is and therefore we have to understand that. So this is just to this is to keep. So mostly this verse is we can see a thumb rule practical application in this verse is there to keep our vision or to safeguard our vision from landing into the zone of Vaishnava Aparadhi. So safeguard the vision. Otherwise we see all we see in other devotees is some temporary thing like that. And then one forms an opinion, one starts critics and all that, very severe Vaishnava Aparadhi, is it not? So the thing is, if you want to see for a long time. Don't see one day, 2 day issue beginning. So okay, there was a fight, but okay, the ISKCON there is fight. Fight may be there for 1 month or something, but ISKCON is running from how many years now? Is it not? 1966 it was incorporated. Is it not? So that's the point. Is it not? So one has to see the whole thing. So temporary this thing. So this is just to clarify our vision actually. But for oneself, one should understand that one has to be very, very cautious. There is no casual attempt towards practice. That's what we should understand. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll continue again in our next class. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.